You are a doctor and want to practice medicine in Denmark. It's a good European country to live, work and have a perfect life. But how should you do it and what stages must you follow? Watch this video till the end to find out. Hey everyone, I'm Behnam from the Visa Library. This channel gives visa information and the latest news and updates. First, subscribe to our channel, hit the bell and download the free cheat sheet my team has prepared from the link in the description. You should also follow us on Instagram and Facebook to get the latest visa news and updates. Now, let's begin. First things first, let me ask you this question. What are the requirements to immigrate and work in Denmark as a doctor? If you have studied outside of Denmark and want to move to the country as a doctor, you must be qualified and meet the eligibility principles. Fulfilling all of them is a must and there is no other option. Remember an essential point, the application process for EU and non-EU nationals is different. Let's get to know the required items. The first one is medical degree. Having a related medical degree is a must to become a doctor in Denmark. There are two cases regarding your degree. One, you got your degree from an EU country. Two, you got your degree from a non-EU country. The process is different for EU and non-EU countries, but your degree must be from a verified center. Remember that you need verification by the university or medical center you got your degree from. The second requirement is Danish language proficiency. Mastering Danish is necessary for doctors who want to work in Denmark. This is a must for doctors with a degree from a non-EU country. During the application process, there is a Danish language test that you have to pass. Also, there is a course you must take and pass, which is also in Danish. The third requirement is registration with the Danish officials. If you received your medical degree not in Denmark, you must apply for registration. It's a process that Danish officials evaluate your certificate and education. They assess your certificate to ensure quality and quantity are equivalent to Danish. There are also exams that you must pass to become qualified. The process could take a few years to complete. You can spend the whole process in Denmark and stay in the country. The officials have designed a particular residency for doctors, nurses, and people in healthcare occupation who need to stay in Denmark for the long term to complete the process. It gets called residency for registration. I'll explain it a bit later. The fourth requirement is a medical license exam. One part of the registration is the medical science exam. All non-EU doctors have to pass it and get the required score to work in Denmark as a doctor. I'll explain how to prepare yourself and pass it a bit later. Remember that the test is in Danish. You need language proficiency to take and pass the exam. The fifth item is having a job offer. You must pass training course after completing the registration and getting authorization to work as a doctor in Denmark. It's to get familiar with Denmark's working procedure and system. You must work with a licensed doctor, hospital or clinic to complete the training. So you need a job offer from a Danish employer or hospital to do so. You must find a center that hires you to pass the training period. Alright then, this was the list of the requirements. Now let me tell you about the authorization residence permit. What the heck is that? As I told you, if you are from a non-EU country and got your degree from there, you must register to become a licensed doctor in Denmark. It's a long and tedious process and might take a few years. You must spend a lot of time in Denmark to complete the process. Danish officials have considered it and created a special residence permit that lets you stay in Denmark, complete the procedure and take the exams. But bear in mind an essential point. This residence permit is just to learn Danish, pass the tests and complete the stages. It doesn't permit you to work as a doctor. After completing the registration, you must apply for a work permit. You will find out how to do it in this video. There is another point you need to know. If you're already in Denmark under a valid residence permit, you do not need to apply for the residence permit for authorization. For instance, if you have a family or a study visa, you can use it to complete the steps with the Danish Patient Safety Authority. Are you wondering how to get the authorization for residence permit? You have to follow these steps to get the authorization. The first step is verification of your degree. You have to send your medical degree to the Danish Patient Safety Authority. They evaluate your degree and decide whether to approve it or not. After they approve your degree, you can use a copy of their verification and apply for the authorization residence permit to the Danish Agency for International Recruitment and Integration, SIR SI or Siri. But getting your degree verification from the Danish Patient Safety Authority is not the only requirement. You must have enough funds to cover your stay in Denmark. Remember that you have no permission to work in Denmark, so you need available funds or income to cover your stay. The amount must be enough to cover your expenses and the people accompanying you, your spouse and children. Danish officials have already announced the required funds. The financial requirement is like this: 1. 38,100 DKK for the main applicant. 2. 76,200 DKK for the main applicant and your spouse. 3. 91,416 DKK for the main applicant, spouse and children. 4. 76,194 DKK for the main applicant with the spouse and no children. There are various ways to prove your financial ability. One way is to submit bank statements that prove you have enough money to spend in Denmark. You can also transfer the required amount to a bank account in Denmark and submit the proof. You have to create a case order ID on the SIRI website. You must insert the following information to create it: personal names, passport number, email address. Be careful while you complete the information, as it must be according to the documents. After you receive the case order ID, you must pay the processing fee. You have to pay a fee of 1,890 DKK. After completing the empty sections, prepare your credit or debit card to pay it. After you pay the fees, you must keep the receipt or the screenshot of the payment, as you have to submit it along with the rest of the supporting documents. The next stage is to collect the supporting documents. Here you must collect the supporting documents to prove you're eligible for the authorization. You have to gather the list of documents. 1. Receipt of the paid application fee. 2. A copy of all your passport pages. 3. Copy of the Danish Patient Safety Authority approval from your medical degree. 4. Financial independence proof. If your documents are not in English or Danish, you must get them translated into English or Danish by a verified translation office. The office must have a stamp, address, and telephone number, and the translation must be in their heading. After you gather the documents, you must complete the application form. There are two options: online and paper application forms. The online application form is faster and will be processed quickly. It outweighs the paper application form. The serial link in the description provides the link to the online and paper application form. There are detailed instructions on how to complete the application form. You need the case order ID number of the receipt of the paid application to complete the application form. If you complete the online application form, it will be submitted to the Siri website automatically. But if you pick the paper application form, you must submit it with the rest of the documents to the Danish embassy or consulate or visa center responsible for visa processing in your home country. At the next stage, you must submit your biometrics, digital photo and fingerprints. You must do it in 14 days after completing the online application form. If you cannot submit the biometrics in the time frame, you have to inform the Siri of the reason and submit your biometrics at the first available time. There are a few scenarios with submitting your biometrics. If you are in Denmark at the time of application, you can submit your biometrics with the Siri offices in your city. If you're applying from your home country or a foreign country, not in Denmark, you can submit your biometrics to the Danish embassy, consulate, or the visa center responsible for visa processing. The processing time of your application is about 1 month, but it might take longer. You have to wait for the Siri's decision. After you take the Danish Patient Safety Authority approval, you will likely receive the authorization, unless there is a serious issue with your application. If such a thing happens, your application will get rejected and the Danish officials will tell you why. You can remove the obstacle and apply again. After the authorization is approved, you will receive the instructions to get your residence permit and move to Denmark. The residence permit will let you stay in Denmark for a few years to complete the stages of becoming a doctor. You can also visit the Schengen area for 90 days in 6 months, but no longer. Also, you may not leave Denmark for longer than 6 months. If so, you will lose your residence permit. Alright then, this was the procedure you had to follow to get the authorization residence permit. Now let's get to the procedure you must follow to recognize your degree and get the license to work as a doctor in Denmark. As I told you, the procedure you must follow to become a doctor in Denmark is up to your nationality and the country you received your degree. Let's see the steps the EU member states have to follow. The first step is to complete the online application form. You have to complete it online and send it. Then you have to pay the fee, which is 1,206 DKK and 4,165 DKK for each registration of a specialist qualifications. You can find the link to the online application form in the link in the description. The second step is to gather the documents. There is a list of supporting documents you have to collect and send to the Danish officials. Here is a list of documents you have to submit. 1. Documents of changing your name and marriage certificate. 2. Educational documents in the EU. 3. EU diploma if applicable for you. 4. Certificate of good standing or certificate of current professional status. It must state that you have permission to work as a doctor in your home country. It cannot be older than 3 months ago at the time of application. Number 5. Completing a specialist training certificate. If applicable, it must have been issued by the competent health authority in the country you have practiced medicine. Number 6. Certificate of completing a specialist qualification if applicable for you. Number 7. Certificate of conformity that meet the training requirements. Number 8. Power of attorney. If someone else applies on your behalf, like an agent or Danish company. Number 9. Translation. If your documents are not in English or Danish, it must have been translated into one of these languages, but you do not need translation if you are from Sweden and Norway. Number 10. Identity documents and a copy of your passport, name, date of birth, and nationality. Remember this essential point. If you send the original form of your documents, you must also send a copy of them. The copies you send must be identical to the original documents. Also, they must be on A4 paper without any folder or a stick. If you need the original documents you send, you can ask the officials to return them to you. You must declare it in your application and ask them to return the original documents. The Danish officials will post the original documents to your postal address. The other thing to consider is informing the officials of your last 5 years of work experience. Make it clear in which country you have had your work experience in the last 5 years. You have to email the scanned form of your documents to the Danish officials at their email address or post the paper copies to their postal address. You will receive an email after you send the documents that Danish officials have received them. It's to acknowledge receipt of your application. You have to check your email regularly. Also, check your spam folder, which might end in this folder. Danish officials will evaluate your application. It takes about 3 months to complete the evaluation of your documents. If they require further supporting documents, they will inform you to submit them. After the assessment is over, they will inform you of the result. A positive result means you can work as a doctor in Denmark. Your information and registration will appear on the online register of healthcare professionals. Employers can see the result on this website and know you are a verified doctor. You can begin your work in Denmark by getting a job with an employer, hospital or clinic. Now let's learn the procedure the non-EU nationals have to follow. The procedure I'll explain in this part is for doctors who fall into one of the below categories. 1. You are a national or resident of a non-EU EEA country and have received your degree from a non-EU EEA country. 2. You are a national or resident of a non-EU EEA country but have completed and received your medical degree in a non-EU EEA country. 3. You are a national of an EU or EEA country but have completed and achieved your degree from a non-EU or EEA country. If number 3 applies to you, you can apply for registration under the special EU EEA provisions, but you must have work experience for at least 3 years in one of the EU or EEA country members. Before explaining the steps non-EU doctors have to follow, let me explain 2 points. The first one is to know about the 6-year rule. What is it? Tell me this, when did you receive your medical degree? If there is a gap of more than 6 years from the date you got your medical degree and the date you applied to the Danish Patient Safety Authority, you must have at least 12 months of professional experience as a medical doctor. If not, your application will be rejected. The second point is this. Look at the country you got your degree from. Is it outside of the European Economic Community EEC? If yes, and you are a citizen of a country outside the EEC, you must have your medical degree verified with the Educational Commission for Foreign Medical Graduates ECFMG, USA. The Danish Patient Safety Authority has a close partnership with the ECFMG. You have to get the verification with the ECFMG, Electronic Portfolio of International Credentials EPIC service, and get it before you submit your application to the Danish Patient Safety Authority. You as the applicant doctor are responsible for the fees and completing the procedure to get the verification. The steps you have to follow to get your credentials primary source verified through ECFMG is like this. Stage 1. create an EPIC account. Visit the EPIC website to know the instructions and complete them to create an account. After you create an account and ECFMG completes your request and your EPIC account is created, ECFMG will send you an email that contains information to log in into your account. Stage 2. Confirmation of identity with EPIC. At this stage, you have to confirm your identity with the EPIC. Their website has detailed information on how you can confirm your identity. You must submit an EPIC identification form, EIF, to confirm your identity. When ECFMG submits this form, you can submit the required documents to the Danish Patient Safety Authority for source verification. Stage 3. Submitting the required documents. Now you must enter your account and submit the scanned form of the documents, your latest medical diploma, latest medical school transcript. It must give information on all the subjects. License to practice medicine. It is needed as well. It must be from the related health authority in the last country when you worked as a medical doctor. You can check the status of your documents and application by logging into your account, but there is a point you need to know. If you do not have the license to practice medicine as a doctor or cannot submit it, read the EPIC guideline. Stage 4. ECFMG will inform you after verifying your documents. After the Danish Patient Safety Authority receives the verification, they will email you and notify you. They will begin processing your application only after receiving the 3 verifications. Now let's get to the steps you must follow to complete the recognition process. Step 1. Applying for approval of medical qualifications. You must send your medical degree from verifications. You have to complete the online application form. Complete the application form for non-EU nationals. Step 2. Gathering the supporting documents. At this stage, you must gather the supporting documents to send to the Danish Patient Safety Authority. This is the list of documents you have to send them. 1. Cover letter. It must contain your name, address, and signature. Be careful to fill in the right information and spelling. Number 2. ID documents. A copy of your first passport page. 3. Name change certificate if applicable. 4. Translation of name change certificate. 5. Your CV. It must list your qualifications and work experience in the time order you received. 6. Registration of a specialist qualification documents. It is required if you have a specialist qualifications. 7. Translation of documents that are not in English or Danish. 8. Proof of having professional work experience if the 6-year rule applies to you. It must confirm the employment and provide in details. Danish officials will accept if you have part-time work experience equivalent to 1 year full-time work experience. Number 9. Power of attorney. If another person, like recruitment agencies, etc., proceeds with your application, remember this point. You must send the documents I explained in order and by exact number. You need 2 copies of the documents. Copy 1 must be original documents or a certified copy of documents. Copy 2, ordinary copies. They must be black and white in A4 format. They cannot be any paper clips, folders on it. You have no permission to send any color copies. Step 3. Send the supporting documents. You must post the documents to the Danish Patient Safety Authority postal address. Considering these points about the certified copies of documents, the copies of your documents must be certified by one of these options: embassy or consulate, notary public, the police, or the authority that issued the document. The certified copy must hold the stamp or signature in English or Danish to verify it's a verified copy. It must be easily identifiable as well. Remember that the private people or companies cannot provide a certified copy of documents. Step 4. Assessment of your application. After the Danish Patient Safety Authority receives your application and the documents by post, they email you and verify that they have received your application. Then they begin assessing your application. There are 2 cases with the assessment of your application. 1. Individual assessment. The Danish Patient Safety Authority might assess your eligibility as an individual application. If so, they might require further supporting documents. 2. World Directory of Medical Schools. Danish officials might use the World Directory of Medical School to assess your application. In either cases, they will evaluate your eligibility to know whether you can work as a doctor in Denmark or not. If the assessment is positive, the Danish officials will inform you to continue the next steps. You will receive a letter that holds the necessary instructions. It will be sent to the postal address you have included in your application. You must ensure that you write your accurate address in the application. If you change your address, you must inform the Danish officials. The letter is not a permission to work in Denmark. It holds the information you need to continue the rest of the procedure. Let me ask you this: how long is the processing time? The applications received in 2022 will be processed at the end of the second quarter of 2024. So you might have to wait a long time to get your application processed if you are from a non-EU country. Step 5. Language test. You must be fluent in Danish to work as a doctor in Denmark. The test to improve your language proficiency is the Danish 3 exam. The test is made of a written part and an oral part. The oral part consists of 3 parts: reading comprehension, written communication, and oral communication. The least required score in reading and writing is 7, and the least required score for the oral part is 10, and you have to get the score. You can take the test in several language centers in Denmark, but it must be in Denmark and nowhere else. It is held in 2 times a year, May and June, and November or December. If you want to ensure the approved centers that take the test, you can ask the local municipality officials. You also have the option to take the language test before you send the documents for recognition, but it mustn't be older than 12 months at the time of recognition of your documents. But if you have stayed the last 12 months in Denmark and you have a proof for it, it's fine that the language test is older than 12 months. How can you be exempted from the language test? Some conditions exempt you from the Danish language test. Here are these conditions. 1. You have already passed the language test and got the required score, but no more than 12 months ago when applying for recognition. 2. You have lived in Denmark after passing the language test and got the least required score. 3. You have studied and got a degree from a Danish upper secondary education. 4. You have studied and accomplished one of the below degrees: higher preparatory examination, GIF in A level, International Baccalaureate B in Danish, education in Denmark universities and in Danish. The study test from language centers. After taking the language exam or having the certificate that exempts you from it, you have to post it to the Danish Patient Safety Authority. You must send the original document or a certified copy of your certificate. The officials will return the original certificate to your address. Also, you can submit the certificate in person to the Danish Patient Safety Authority at their address in Denmark. After receiving the certificate, the Danish officials will send the confirmation to your email address. They will also send the information to register for the medical test. You can register for the medical test only after receiving the email confirmation. It takes about 14 days to receive the confirmation. You will receive the information to register for the medical test. Step 6. Medical test. After you take the language test, send the results to the Danish officials, and if they confirm it, the Patient Safety Authority will notify the University of Copenhagen. You will be registered for the medical test automatically. You have to take the medical test at the University of Copenhagen, so you have to be in Denmark to take the exam. If you're not ready for the exam and want to study more or cannot take it for another reason, you have to unregister for the test. If you do not unregister and do not take it, it will be considered one failed attempt, and you can only take the exam 3 times. You have permission to unregister for the exam 1 month before the exam date. You have to ask them in writing to unregister you. What if you get sick and cannot take part in the exam? In this case, you have to inform the officials as soon as you receive the medical test result for your sickness. You must submit a medical examination with the doctor's stamp and provider's ID. The Danish officials must receive the sickness test result no later than 3 days before you get it. After you notify the exam officials, they accept the certificate, and if you do not take it, it will be considered as a failed attempt. The test is held every year in March and September. While you will be registered for the written test automatically, you must register for the oral part of the exam yourself. The oral test is held in May and November. The Danish officials will inform you how to register for the oral test. You have to do it through the KU self-service system at KU.net. The Facility of Health and Medical Services at the University of Copenhagen website has further information about the exam dates and deadlines. Visit the website to learn the updated information to register for or prepare yourself for the exam. The link is in the description. You should know that if there are not enough applicants to take the test, the Danish Patient Safety Authority might cancel the test. Let me ask you this. What is the structure of the medical test? The medical test consists of 2 parts. Part 1, written test. This test will take you 4 hours and comprise questions about surgery and internal medicine. The test evaluates your medical knowledge the same as Danish medical graduates. There are 7-point grading scales and you must get a passing score. Part 2, oral test. This test takes you 4 hours to complete. The examiners will evaluate your skills, abilities, and knowledge in various fields such as symptoms, diagnosis, treatments, and other items. There are no points with this part, you just have to pass it. It's a fail or pass exam. Step 7. Pass the course in Danish health legislation. After passing the medical test, you must pass the course in Danish health legislation. You need the language proficiency certificate to take this course. Danish officials will check your certificate. The course is in the Danish language. free of charge. You don't have to pay for it. You will receive meals while taking the course, but you have to pay other related expenses. There are 3 parts to the courses, which often gets called modules. Module 1, the structure of the Danish healthcare system. You will find out about the Danish Health Service and its organization. Also, you will learn about the damage possibility and the supervisory function of the Danish Patient Safety Authority. Module 2, what are the patient's rights? You will know about the patient's rights and get familiar with the cases that have been difficult to manage. The course provides information about confidentiality, informed consent, and legally incapable people's rules and regulations. The purpose of the second module is to provide the participants with the extensive knowledge of essential patient rights and particular emphasize on situations that have been difficult to handle in practice of healthcare professionals trade outside of Denmark. The special focus will be on informed consent, legally incapable people, and confidentiality. Module 3, doctors' obligations and rights. You will get familiar with your diagnosis authority by officials and healthcare professionals. Also, you will know how your rights can be affected or restricted. Let me ask you this: how to register for this course? You can register for the course after the Danish officials approve your language test. You have to email the Danish officials and ask for the registration. You have to send your personal information plus the request to register for the course, name, date of birth, and case number. After about 14 days, you will receive a confirmation on what to do next. Only 15 applicants can take each course. As the number is limited, the priority is with applicants who registered earlier and those who completed the medical test. There is no need to notify the Danish officials that you have passed the medical test, as they know automatically that you have passed it. You have to take part in the course and pass them. The officials will check your identity through your photo. If you cannot take one part of the course, you can take it later, but you might have to wait to get registered for it. There is no score with the course, and you just have to pass it and get the passing score. If you cannot take the course, you have permission to unregister for it. You can do it up to 5 working days before the starting date. You have to email the Danish officials at the same email address and ask them to unregister you. If you do not unregister or take part in the course, it will be considered one failed attempt. You have only taken 3 failed attempts. What if you get sick? If you get sick, you have to inform the registration analysis and EU health insurance no later than 9 a.m. on the first course date. You must get the certificate from your doctor that indicates you are sick, and it must contain the doctor's stamp and provider's ID. You must send the certificate no later than 3 days after getting it. If you do not notify the registration analysis and EU health insurance and you do not take part in the course, it will be considered as one failed attempt. Let's get to the next one, step 8, a job offer or employment to get adaptation and training. After taking a language test and the legislation course, you must pass a training course in Denmark. To do so, you must find a job offer in Denmark and sign an employment contract with the employer or hospital. It's a must to pass the adaptation and training period if you do not have a specialist qualification, or if you have a specialist qualification in a specialty that is not approved by the Danish Patient Safety Authority. You have to find an employer willing to hire you to complete the training period with him or her. The duration of the employment is 12 months, which consists of 6 months in 2 different specialties. Your employer assesses the quality of your work and informs the Danish officials. He or she must send the assessment form to the officials after the first, 3rd, and 12th month of employment. You must begin the second 6 months no later than 3 months after completing the first 6 months. But how to find jobs in Denmark? It's your responsibility to find jobs and employment. You can look for available positions with SUN, DHEDS, jobs, DK, but the provided information is only in Danish. You can also connect the Danish hospitals, clinics, or doctors and ask for employment. You can also connect the Regional Council for Postgraduate Medical Training for suggestion and advice on a job opportunity. Remember that one of 3 regional councils for postgraduate medical training must approve the employment. Step 9, apply for temporary evaluation authorization. You must apply and receive the evaluation authorization before beginning your adaptation and training. You must begin your employment after 12 months of finishing your medical test and language exam. The evaluation authorization you receive only applies to the department or type of practice you want to take. You cannot use it in another place of the type of practice. For instance, if you get the evaluation authorization for the particular hospital in Amsterdam, you cannot use it to work in another clinic. The first step is to send an email to the Danish officials and give them the below information: name, address, telephone number, date of birth, employment contract from your employer, confirmation of your evaluation appointment was sent directly from the Evaluation Regional Council for continuing medical education to the agency. The email address of the place of the employment, updated CV, your journal number. Now, let me tell you one point about the Declaration of Good Standing. The country's health authorities where you have completed your education or got your work experience in the last 5 years must complete an application form or issue a Declaration of Good Standing and send it by post to the Danish Patient Safety Authority. If you do not have a certificate of good standing, the officials must issue a certificate of non-registration and send it to the Danish officials. After passing the first adaptation period comes the second evaluation authorization. To pass the second course of evaluation employment, you must apply for authorization. You have to apply again and send the following information to Danish officials at their email address: name, date of birth, employment contract from your employer, confirmation of your evaluation appointment sent directly from the relevant regional council for physicians further education to the agency of patient safety, the email address of the place of the employment, updated CV, and declaration of good standing documentation for residents in Denmark again. The processing time is about 14 days and the results will appear on the authorization register. Step 10, applying to work independently. After completing the employment evaluation, you can apply to work independently. You have to pay the fee of 1,260 KK and complete the application process. The information you need to complete the process is provided only in Danish. After you get the permission to work independently, you can apply to become a specialist in Denmark. Alright then, this was all you must know to immigrate to Denmark as a doctor. If you have questions, write them down in the comment section. The Visa Library team will answer them. Before you leave, make sure to like this video, hit the bell, and don't forget to get the free PDF file from the link in the description. You should also follow us on Instagram and Facebook to get the latest visa news and updates. Stay tuned for more videos and updates. Thank you all for watching.